Don't go anywhere. Hit that subscribe button. Tap the notification bell and be the first to know when we drop a new video. Like and share with your fellow American patriots who love this country. And if you haven't even an American patriot, you are someone who believe and love freedom, love democracy, truth, and don't like corruption, hit the subscription button. Yes, whether you like Donald Trump or not, I can tell you that of all of the US presidents that I have known since I have been on this earth, Donald Trump is the one that I have seen where politicians from his part, from the GOP, they are literally afraid of him. But it's not Donald Trump that they are afraid of, It's the people, it's Donald Trump supporters. Because these people, you have to understand that these people, they are like programmed, like organic robots. These are not people that can think rationally. So today we are talking, you're going to see a video right from in South Florida, where Donald Trump had granted 59 South Africans refugee status with a blick up with executive order. These are not people that qualify for refugees, because they are not being persecuted or anything like that. But you see, the people who are from Central and South America, they who are qualified. Donald Trump don't want them in this country. But guess what? I don't sorry for them either, because they're the one that voting for him. But whether or not you want to believe it, when people vote in this country, you're voting for two classes of people, two kind of billionaires. So poor people, when you vote, you're not really getting anything. Period. All you're getting is headache and stress. One is telling you that a man can be a woman, and the next one is telling you that he's a thief, and they want to take from the poor and give to the rich. The other one is just telling you that they're there to just give you confusion. They tell you that a man can be a woman and try to indoctrinate the children in school, and that's how you get a Donald Trump. Take it or leave it. That's the truth. We know that these people, they are liars, and they will not stop telling. So Donald Trump's refugee hypocrisy, a racist stroke of the pen. When Donald Trump granted refugee status to 49 white South African farmers, it wasn't an act of humanitarian compassion. It was a calculated political move steeped in white nationalist ideology and racial favoritism. By bypassing Congress and unilaterally granting asylum to a small racially distinct group, Trump sent a dangerous and unmistakable message to the world. In his America, white lives matter more. Let's break it down. The manufactured crisis. Trump justified the asylum offer by claiming that these white South African farmers were facing horrible and horrific persecution, land siege, and even genocide at the hands of the black majority government. There's no truth to that. These claims were not only exaggerated, they are outright fabrications, lies. Donald Trump lie every day, but he's the biggest liar. Well, he's not the biggest liar, but he tells more lies than anyone else. Yes, and any other president. We say that without any apology. No credible international body, human rights organization, or fact-based media outlets supported the notion that there was a campaign of racial extermination against white farmers. In fact, most killing on South African farms affected people of all races and were often criminally motivated, not ethnically targeted. But Trump wasn't interested in facts, as usual. He was interested in fueling a global narrative of white victimhood, a tactic deeply rooted in far-right ideology, selective humanitarianism. Ask yourself this. Why didn't Donald Trump show the same compassion to Asian migrants displaced by natural disaster? Why did he mock African nations as shithole countries while trying to gut the diversity visas, lattice program that benefit people from those very regions? Why did he attempt to ban people from predominantly Muslim countries from entering the US altogether? Now, I kiss up to the Saudis, the Arab, because of money. So Trump is for sale. Him not have no core belief. Money, I'm God. And him can't take it with him because one day him dead. And when him dead, him can't take $1 with him. And that will be soon. So my administration routinely turn away desperate asylum seekers from Central America. Children fleeing gang violence. Families running from cartel-controlled towns and cage them like animals at the border. But 49 white South Africans, they got a red carpet and refugee status by executive order. This wasn't just hypocrisy, it was racism written in policy. The far-right echo chamber, Trump's decision, wasn't made in a vacuum. It came after Fox News personality Tucker Carlson. Here, a segment echoing a white supremacist conspiracy theory known as white genocide. A fringe belief that white people are being systematically replaced or eradicated, particularly in countries with growing black or immigrant populations. Instead of condemning this absurd, dangerous narrative, Trump amplified it with a tweet saying this administration would investigate the large-scale killing of farmers. The U.S. State Department, which had no evidence of such persecution, was forced to walk back the president's claim. But by then, the damage was done. Trump has legitimized a racist hoax on the world stage. Racism by policies. Donald Trump's president is littered with racially charged dark whistles and blatant acts of discrimination. He called for the death penalty for the Central Park Five, even after they were proven innocent. He claimed there were very fine people on both sides in the Charlottesville defending white nationalists. He questioned the citizenship and qualification of President Barack Obama, spearheading the Bertha movement. He told 4 congresswomen of color to go back to their country, despite 3 of them born in the U.S. He dismantled protections for immigrants from countries like El Salvador, Sudan, and Haiti. He described Mexicans as rapists and criminals on the campaign trail. So when Trump unpicked 49 white South Africans for asylum, bypassing the legislative process and normal vetting process, it was not surprising, it was consistent. A warning to the world. Trump's decision to grant asylum to 49 white South Africans was not just a minor executive action, it was a symbolic victory lap for white nationalists worldwide. It validates conspiracy theories. It prioritized white suffering over global justice and confirmed what many already knew. Donald Trump did not govern for all Americans. He governed for a specific vision of America, white, fearful, and backward looking. Let this stand as a historical indictment when faced with the opportunity to help the fully and truly persecuted. Donald Trump chose propaganda over principle and racism over reason. So we're going to let you watch a video of people here in South Florida complaining about Donald Trump's actions. So you watch, you listen, and you decide.
Dozens of white South Africans granted refugee status under a controversial executive order from President Trump. Local 10's Janine Standwood is live. She's in Miami Beach now with why this one is raising some eyebrows. Janine?
Christy, in the United States, refugee status is very specific and it is a process. But some right here in South Florida are wondering why this was granted for this group when protections for other people are being stripped.
Welcome. Welcome to the United States of America.
Dozens of South Africans with flags and balloons granted refugee status thanks to an order by President Trump. The administration says the 59 are fleeing discrimination.
It's a genocide that's taking place. White farmers are being brutally killed and their land is being confiscated.
It's a slap in the face to every immigrant and every refugee who's tried to come here and waited.
But some, like Maria Corina Vegas, longtime Venezuelan American advocate and executive member of the Miami-Dade Democratic Hispanic Caucus, say the administration has gutted the refugee program and has taken away protections for other nationalities, like Venezuelans who have been fleeing violence in droves.
This is completely out of line.
Congresswoman Frederica Wilson writing Local 10, why are we making a special exception and rolling out the red carpet for 59 white South Africans to seek refuge in our nation while denying support to Cubans, Venezuelans, Haitians and Nicaraguans and others fleeing crises? The hypocrisy is blatant white supremacy. But Republicans like U.S. Senator Rick Scott say clamping down on the flow of migrants into the U.S. is key for security.
We're a welcoming country. But what we don't want is what's happened in the last administration. We don't want any criminals or terrorists and narco traffickers.
And at the same time that these refugees have now entered the United States, the protected status has ended for Afghans, some who served alongside U.S. soldiers. We're in Miami Beach. I'm Janine Stanwood, Local 10 News.
So whether or not you like President Donald Trump or not, you know, he's a confident liar who redefined deception in politics. All the lies them starting from Barack Obama. Tell the world say a man can be a woman and the rectum is a sex organ. We know say the liberal them not like fear the truth because they're my biggest liar too, you know. Some people would ask, who's the biggest liar? And I'll say, boy, the liberal them, because when you're going to tell people that a man can become a woman, that is just crazy. But them still do it same way. Them because them not ashamed. That in basic human decency. Donald Trump isn't just a liar, he's a confident liar. The kind who doesn't just bend the truth, but break it, buries it, and build a golden tower of fiction on top of it. With the audacity of a salesman and the arrogance of a demagogue. Trump mastered the art of lying so thoroughly that truth became irrelevant to his supporters and dangerous to his opponents. He lied about everything from crowd sizes to deaths. You know, when I go through the seating, from election results to classified documents, and he didn't flinch. He didn't apologize. He doubled down. Because in Trump world, facts aren't facts. They are inconveniences to be streamrolled by spectacle. Trump once claimed he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and don't lose any voters. That wasn't a joke. It was a confession. He knew that his lies, told boldly or often enough, would become gospel to those addicted to his cult of personality. His confidence wasn't just political strategy, it was psychological warfare. And perhaps most dangerous thing about Trump's lies is how many people were willing to believe them. Because when a confident liar leads, the truth becomes the enemy. And that's how Donald Trump is all about, lying. Yeah, you have to give him credit for that. Yeah, so well, let's watch South African young man telling you that everything that the white farmers are doing, it's all lies. And that all of them, being whites in South Africa, they have been fed, spoon-fed racism. You watch, you listen, and you decide.
Every single one, including you, including me. We were born into a racist country, raised by racist systems, taught by racist textbooks, and disciplined by racist norms. Unless you've been consciously deprogrammed, that requires pain, effort, and education. You are still operating from a racist framework. Having black friends doesn't erase your racism. Voting for black politicians. No, sleeping with someone of another race? Ha! Still racist. Whiteness isn't just calling someone a slur. It's the silent belief that whiteness is neutral and everything else is different. I don't see color while bleaching your hair and contouring your face. You see color just fine. You just don't want to deal with what it means. The entire education system would collapse overnight if we taught the truth. Apartheid wasn't resolved and whiteness is still centered. Your skin color isn't the problem. Your silence is. Your comfort is. Humanity expresses itself in shades, and racism denies that expression. South Africa, we're still living in the lie. Every white South African is racist. Every single one. Including you. Including me. We were born into a racist country, raised by racist systems. Taught.
When you're talking about the truth, this young man is telling you as it is. A fish come from down at the bottom of the ocean and tell you that mermaid live down there. You have to believe the fish because the fish live in the ocean. What does that young man has speak? That's just authentic, raw, unfiltered truth. So I'm not even going to elaborate on it. What he says about white people, that they are racist, and he's not lying. And he's including himself. So, that's how life is. So you're going to hear from the South African president who is telling you that everything that Donald Trump is telling you are lies. But in that world of white supremacy, lies are truth and truth are lies. It all started in time Barack Obama started tell the world that a man can become a woman. That's a biggest lie. And Trump just amplify it after. And now them say I'm a liar. When you start all of the lies, social engineering and all kind of things, him just dominate it. So you watch, you listen, and you decide.
CEO President Cyril Ramaphosa says that his administration will continue to push for transformation in the country. Speaking at the Africa CEO Forum in Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire, Ramaphosa said that the 49 white Afrikaners who left for the United States are not facing persecution in South Africa. Trump's administration is offering refugee programs to some white South Africans that it claims face discrimination.
We've raised our own concern because those people who are being enticed to go to the United States do not fit the definition of a refugee. A refugee is someone who has to leave their country out of fear of political persecution, religious persecution. They don't fit that bill. They don't fit that description. And I had a conversation with President Trump on the phone, and he said, what's happening down there? And I said, President, what you've been told by those people who are opposed to transformation back home in South Africa is not true. And I added to him, I said, we were well taught by Nelson Mandela and other iconic leaders like Oliver Tambo on how to continue to build a united nation out of the diverse groupings that we have in South Africa. We're the only country on the continent where the colonizers came to stay, and we have never driven them out of our country. So they are staying, and they're making great progress. It's a fringe grouping that does not have a lot of support, that is anti-transformation and anti-change.
Yeah, so the white South African refugee hoax, racism, refugee, and the Musk-Trump alliance, let's stop pretending. The so-called refugee crisis involving a few dozen white South African farmers wasn't about persecution. It was about safety. It wasn't about land rights or justice. It was about white supremacy, global manipulation, and political theater, engineered by powerful men like Donald Trump and Elon Musk to promote a dangerous narrative that white people are the new victims. Yes, I don't know how them come by that, but only don't know buy that. These are the same white South Africans, descendants of colonizers, who once told the world that racism was in their genes, that it was passed down like blood, like land, like privilege. These were the same people who benefit from apartheid, who exploited the land and the people of South Africa for centuries, and who never apologized for it. Now they cry persecution because land redistribution efforts, long promised and slow to be implemented, might finally hold them accountable. The president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, made it crystal clear these individuals do not qualify as refugees under international laws. They are not victims of genocide. They are not target of systemic ethnic cleansings. They are not being hunted. But the far-right machinery in the US need a story, and they found one. Enter Donald Trump, the white savior of a manufactured crime crisis. With a stroke of a pen, Trump granted refugee status to 49 white South Africans. No congressional reviews, no due diligence. How many convicted criminals are in the group, we don't know. Just raw executive power, serving racial ideology. Meanwhile, black and brown asylum seekers from Central America, Haiti and across Africa were denied, deported, caged and humiliated. Why the double standard? Because in Trump America and in the rural view, he promotes whiteness is worth saving even when it's not in danger. Black and brown suffering, inconvenient, expendable, or simply ignored. Elon Musk, the billionaire, puppet master, and who was quietly cheering it all on from the shadows. Elon Musk, born and raised in apartheid South Africa, a man whose family profited from emerald mines, while black South Africans were stripped of their rights. Musk may play the tech genius on Twitter, but his silence on apartheid and sudden interest in white South African refugees reveal a darker secret. Why has Musk never spoken up against the black South African victims of apartheid? Why has he never once acknowledged the generational trauma inflicted by the very system that allowed his family to thrive? Because Musk, like Trump, benefit from the myth of white victimhood. He knows that fueling the reverse racism narrative keeps his conservative fan base loyal. He knows that elevating white South Africans as refugees in a political play, not a humanitarian act. The global whitewashing of history. This refugee stunt isn't just about South Africa, it's about rewriting global narrative. It's about turning colonizers into victims and erasing the crimes of apartheid from the history books. It's about painting the oppressed as the aggressors and the privileged as persecuted. And worst of all, it's being done in broad daylight, with billionaires and presidents colluded to feed a lie to the world. Let's be clear. These 49 individuals are not refugees. They are a pawn in a global propaganda war. Their claims are not backed by international laws, nor the government of South Africa. The only thing they have behind them is political power, white privilege, and financial muscle of elites like Elon Musk, who's more interested in protecting a colonial legacy than promoting true justice. In the end, this isn't just a betrayal of international laws. It's a betrayal of truth, morality, and every real refugee was ever flee war, oppression, or genocide. Have yourself a beautiful day.